Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Raylene Marks, your host, bringing you the top stories from Israel and surrounds every Monday to Thursday, right here. Or if you quite fancy YouTube, we're there as well. You can find us at the Israel Brief, and you know what to do. Just click on that big red subscribe button, and you will receive your daily headlines. And on the subject of daily headlines, let's get into it with the first story. And we're back to COVID-19 dominating the headlines. And it has been reported by Israel's health ministry that in the last 24 hours, Israel's rate of infection has gone above 2,000. Now, Health Minister Yuli Edelstein has said that if this continues, Israel will have no choice but to either go into another lockdown or to more restrictions. And speaking of going into lockdown, Prime Minister Netanyahu last night confirmed that he has gone back into quarantine, or bidud as we call it here. This is the third time for the Prime Minister, as he came into contact with somebody who tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. And on the subject of the Prime Minister, he also announced earlier today that after this Shabbat, he will be on air receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. This is the Pfizer vaccine that Israel received last week. The Prime Minister has said that in order to encourage Israelis, as many as possible, to be vaccinated, he will be the first live on air to receive them. And the rollout will begin on Sunday, with medical workers and the elderly receiving their first vaccines. However, there are issues within the ultra-Orthodox community. Many rabbis are not behind the rollout with the vaccine, and it's posing quite a bit of a challenge to encourage them to be behind the vaccine rollout. This is particularly important because the ultra-Orthodox community is one of those that is the most affected by the spread of COVID-19. And in other news, very, very important news, and I know all our Australian viewers will be very, very relieved to hear this, but Malka Leifer, who is indicted on at least 74 counts of child abuse, it has been ruled by the Israeli Supreme Court that she will be extradited as soon as possible. Justice Nissim said that he will be signing that extradition order without delay, and hopefully there will be justice for her many victims. And our final story of the day takes us back to Jeremy Corbyn. Well, we can't seem to escape him, can we? Jeremy Corbyn, the now disgraced former leader of the UK Labour Party, who very famously just a few weeks ago was found to be, well, largely incompetent in the way that he handled anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, and was taken out of or defeated in his role as leader. He lost last year's election, and not only that, but he was suspended from the Labour Party for failing to apologise properly, and also had his chief whip position taken away from him. Well, Jeremy Corbyn is now founding a movement which he says will be focused on global human rights, called the Peace and Justice Movement. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think that many people who see Jeremy Corbyn, holding court with members of Hamas or Hezbollah, who are terrorist organizations, or laying wreaths at the graves of terrorists who killed 11 Israeli athletes and coaches during the 1972 Munich Olympic Games, or has been eerily silent on many issues, many humanitarian issues affecting people across the world, including Uyghur Muslims in China and genocides across Africa and various other places, should be founding a movement called Peace and Justice. But good luck, Jezza. We see the irony. Let's see how you progress. And those are the top stories making headlines today. Don't forget that you can check out our content online at www.layoftheland.online. If you're looking for some lockdown learning or reading, we've got you covered. You can read Dave's article, which takes a look at some of the events of this this year. It's called the Winter of Discontent. What does that have to do with Game of Thrones? I'm not going to tell you. Read the article. You'll find out why. It's also up on our Facebook page. While you're there, if you haven't already, please give us a like or a follow. Let's grow our community. You know what to do on YouTube. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Israel Brief and interact with us on Twitter at LayOfTheLand5. We love it when you interact and follow us. So with today's edition of The Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks, wishing you good health and safety, and we'll chat again tomorrow.